Whenever you hear someone talk about Melee in a passing manner, it's always talking about how the game is fast, yeah, great, yeah, but also broken and unbalanced. Many people say this due to the glitches that people use, or so-called glitches, or advanced techniques, such as wave dashing, but many people also refer to just the balance of the game, like what characters are viable. There's always been this meme about like Fox only, Final Destination, no items, and 20XX. But actually, Melee is not an unbalanced game. Melee actually has great character variety, and in today's tier list, we're gonna go through why. I think some of you guys might disagree already, dropping a dislike already, but the reality of it is that in 2019, the top 8 ranked players played, I think, 8 different characters, maybe 9 if you count secondaries. So the fact of the matter is, Melee has a lot of character variety, a lot of characters are viable, but there are some stinkers. And we're gonna go through all of that and who I think now is the best in the game. I've done one of these before, but a lot has changed. Not necessarily with the game, there's no patches or anything, but the way we play the game with Slippy and so on, and Frozen Stadium now maybe being the standard, will change things significantly. So we're gonna go through that. But before that, we have a sponsor for today's video. So the sponsor of today's video is Swagbucks. Swagbucks is an easy way to earn extra cash and free gift cards at places such as Amazon, Starbucks, Target, Best Buy, and more. That means you can get the GameCube controller adapter, the fight stick, GameCube controller, all while watching Twitch, Netflix from your mom's basement, or whatever place you're living in, you know? Maybe you have a left lounge like me. All you gotta do is watch videos, you can play games, you can shop online, you can take research surveys. Now I tried it. I was watching Twitch, seeing someone fail at Fall Guys. No names, no name, Mango. Saying, all you gotta do to get started is to click the link in the description. You get $5 off when you complete your first survey. And yeah, just get started. Help the stream out. Thank you so much for Swagbucks for sponsoring this video. It's really great to have a sponsor doing Melee content. I hope we can get more. And yeah, try out Swagbucks. All right, so we're gonna start off from the bottom. Now, these characters are not balanced, and honestly, there's not that many excuses to make out of many of these. Some characters in this game, you should not play for a tournament, and I would say that no one really truly knows who the worst character is. It's been a debate for a long time. Pichu is a character that the game itself seemingly tried to make the worst character, which is kind of funny. But I don't think they succeeded. I don't think Pichu's the worst. I think they say something in the trophy text like, "Oh, like pick this character if you want to like use a harder character or something like that." So the 2 worst characters in the game that I cannot decide on which is worse is Zelda and Bowser. Both of these characters have some strong points. Bowser's OB is very strong and his weight is good. And Zelda's fair and back are very good, and dash attack. But outside of that, they're kind of lackluster. The argument as to who is worse is essentially like, okay, can you, with optimized shield dropping and movement, make Zelda's fair spacing and dash attack like work? Or with like optimized movement and CC with Bowser, they push him a bit higher? But honestly, it's kind of a useless debate. Both of these characters are terrible. No one really knows who's the worst. You never play these characters for a long time unless you're an idiot. So yeah, sorry Bowser players, sorry Zelda players. These characters do suck. Next up we have in the bad but not unplayable tier, I think Kirby or Pichu are they're both very bad, and Ness. But you know, if you look up my YouTube video, I actually won a tournament with using Kirby very recently. Kirby's actually a little bit better. I would say maybe here, 1 step up at the very least, maybe 2 in POW. A little bit heavier, dash is a little faster, F smash is stronger, but we don't play POW. So yeah, this list is for NTSC. Kirby, very bad aerial control, bad recovery once you know how to deal with it. Great frame data on a couple moves and a very good crouching animation, which makes him hard to deal with. But just doesn't have the combo game, doesn't have the speed, and dies very easily. I would say the biggest flaw of Kirby is just that Kirby has a very good grab range, especially for the size of the character. But sadly, all the throws kind of suck. You can mash out of back throw and down, back throw and forward throw, and down throw doesn't combo on some characters. Pichu, I mean, Pichu's Pichu, like worse Pikachu, and by a lot too. Super lightest character, I believe, but due to fall speed, I believe Puff dies earlier off the top, but you know, dies quickly. Recovery is actually really good, but you know, it kind of struggles with a lot of different things, mainly CC and just damage output. Very low damage on a lot of things, but I think that I think that Pichu might have better matchups versus top tiers than Ness, but it's really hard. Both of these two characters, Ness and Pichu, also have terrible grab range, and grabs are one of the best moves to break CC and get combos going. So that sucks. However, Pichu does have the speed, so the grab range doesn't matter as much. Ness honestly is a pretty solid character outside of bad grab range, bad ground normals like jab, F tilt, down tilt, all kind of suck, and terrible recovery. If Ness had a good recovery, this character would be like a tier or 2 up. Ness's recovery outside of air dodging and just hoping your opponent misses the punish is just abysmal once your opponent knows how to deal with it. And the slow double jump also makes him, like the fact that he goes whoop instead of just jumping straight up, also makes it so that he can't really escape combos very well. And if you ever get caught without your double jump, yeah, it's gonna be rough. All right, so next up, we have like a decision to make. Either we make another tier, because I think these characters are slightly stronger, or we make like a sub tier. We'll just put them here. I don't necessarily know if I think these characters are much worse or better than the others. I'll probably put them here, honestly. They're slightly better, not by much, but they are better. Main thing against these characters, I would say, is that these guys have a bit stronger neutral options. Game Watch has great hitboxes with fair down tilt, nair, back air, but suffers defensively. And I think Roy, I mean, has Marth dash dance, literally, has the great dash back animation, has grab, down tilt. Honestly, I could see a reality where like Roy is better here too. I mean, Zane did beat several top players with Roy. I've won a tournament with Roy myself in Sweden. Like, the thing with Roy is that he's abusable. Like, if you play optimally, he can be much hard. It'll make his life much harder. But I struggle to like put him down like to his, oh, this is how you play optimally against Roy, because one, who's gonna know how to play against Roy, and two, apparently even, you know, top 50, top 30 ranked players do not know how to play against Roy. They do not know that he's weak against platforms, or at least can't execute that under pressure. So probably gonna put him around, like, I think they're pretty much tied. I think so. Roy really struggles with Peach and Puff, whereas I think Game & Watch is kind of the opposite. Game & Watch actually has a surprisingly good Puff matchup and pretty decent Peach matchup, but really struggles for some of the other characters. I would say that Game & Watch might be better though, because I think Game & Watch, it's one of these things. I feel like when I was watching Armada play Game & Watch, he would do it a couple times. Like, if you have super solid punish game with this character, he looks very, like, he's really hard to deal with. I also think some of his problems, like bad spot dodge and rolls and shield Pokeball shield, can be worked around by using CC, moving more, shield, and light shielding. And yeah, Game Watch actually has a pretty good like spread, I would say, against the top tiers. I think he does well against like a lot of random characters like Doc, Samus. And I think there's no character that like super truly hard counters him. Does well against ICs, does well against Yoshi, I would say. Does decent against Falcon. Does really good against Marth, actually. Or like, it's kind of an annoying matchup. It's not actually good, but it's like annoying, you know, for its level. All right, so on this list, on this tier, I'm considering if I want to add more characters. I feel like I want to. Link and Young Link are here as well. And DK. I think this is how I want to place, like, this is like the mid tiers. So this is bottom, low, mid-ish. Like, it's all like, these characters are not characters you should necessarily pick up. I would say that you can pick these characters and you can still do well, but you're going to struggle a bit more. Link has some really good stuff like up B and Nair, but he really struggles with breaking CC at 0. bad grab and just slow in general. But I do think that his recovery is all right, and he does have some good damage output on some of his moves. His biggest problem is just like honestly consistently killing if your opponent isn't stupid and runs into like an up B or downer. Plus his edge guard is kind of weak against a lot of characters. Outside of that, honestly his biggest trouble is just like the mid-range. He doesn't really have any burst options he can put out, especially with a bad grab. So once the opponent gets in, he really struggles with getting out. Young Link is kind of similar, but also pretty different. Young Link has much better like movement and can use his boomerang and bombs much better due to that, but doesn't have the weight, has worse recovery in my opinion, or at least not much better. Dies earlier because he's lighter, gets more combo because he's perfect combo weight once you know how to deal with it. Still a bad grab, bad throws, nothing really that breaks CC outside of like projectiles, which makes it very easy to bum rush him and just CC whatever he does. Struggles even more with killing consistently, I would say, outside of a few setup versus floaties and a few edge guard setups versus spacies. But if you can play around that, it does become very hard, I think, to kill with Young Link. Now, DK is arguable. I think DK could honestly be moved up a tier, but I would probably put DK here. Now, I think DK is a very annoying character to play against, but once you do know how to play against it, he does become dramatically worse. He's a very limited character when it comes to playing. Like, he doesn't really have counterplay. Like, DK can throw some stuff out, and then the opponent has to deal with them. But if the opponent deals with them, DK can't like lab and answer back, if that makes sense. Once DK is turned towards you, he doesn't really have anything. But if you're careless against DK, he can punish you extremely hard. But I think he still has many terrible matchups. And honestly, if you lose to him, you probably just didn't know the matchup. That said though, Rishi did win against Kuyashi recently using DK reverse 3-0ing. But, you know, I think that was mostly due to matchup inexperience. And I don't think DK is great as a solo main. Next up, we have slight tier up, I would say. We have Ganondorf. And this is a character that really struggles with frame data, but does have some good universal tools. Has a great chain grab and great priority on all of his moves. Terrible recovery, but all right, close up. Like if he doesn't get sent off too far, and because he's so heavy, he can tank some hits. But I'm kind of considering like putting him with DK. But I think overall, watching None play this character, you can still see that like this character just has a few more options. DK again is easier to play at a high level and like a stronger pocket pick, I would say. But I would say the Ganondorf is better as like a full-time main, simply because he does have a few more aerials, a few more moves that he can use, and has a bit more left in the tank once the opponent knows how to fight the matchup. And then we have Mewtwo. I honestly, this is probably the biggest upset. A lot of people would put Mewtwo down here or here. I don't know. I play Mewtwo, and I honestly think he's up here. I don't know if he's worse or better than Ganondorf. The way I usually think is that he's like on par with Mario. I actually think he's here. Now, a lot of you people will be like, what? I've never played a good Mewtwo. And that's damn right, you haven't. Now, Mewtwo is a character that is much harder to play than most of these characters. I would honestly say that out of all these characters, he's clearly the hardest character to play out of the characters I put up here on the tier list so far. Now, why is that? Well, he has a massive hurt box. Now, some people would say that's just a plain like, okay, he can't be good, he has a big hurt box. But that's not true. You can actually work around the big hurt box, and the biggest part of the hurt box is the tail. Now for DK, his entire hurt box is big and he gets shield poked. Mewtwo does actually not get shield poked much, and he only really struggles with the tail if you are not facing your opponent. So the way he can mitigate this is by using a lot of pivots, a lot of wave dashing instead of dash dancing. And I actually think that optimized Mewtwo just has a lot less like dead matchups. Now, does he have rough matchups? Yeah, I'm sure Ices and Peach are awful. But outside of that, I actually think he has a pretty good spread. I've won tournaments with Mewtwo. I played him against Puff, Samus, Fox, Falcon, Sheik. I don't think there's any matchup where I'm like, yeah, this is impossible. Peach and Icy's are matchups where you honestly have to like get 1 or 2 hits and then like ledge stall / go for timeout. But I don't know. Icy's are only really impossible, I would say, with wobbling, because they don't have a great punish game outside of that. Now, again, I think the average Mewtwo is probably low or bottom tier. But I think optimized Mewtwo with all the perfect double jump cancels, edge cancels, perfect combos, it's really strong. Like Mewtwo against Fox and Falco. Mewtwo against Fox and Falco on FD is actually a good matchup. Like, maybe not winning, but I wouldn't say it necessarily worse than like 6-4, 55-45 in Fox's or Falcon's favor. Like, you can kill of 1 hit. Grab, down tilt, fair, nair, all these things lead into a kill if you have optimized combos. And I don't know, I just think there's a lot of things to consider. And I think this is in my head, like someone who optimizes Mewtwo and truly pushes him. Not my Mewtwo, I don't main Mewtwo, right? And the biggest problem Mewtwo has, honestly, in terms of performance, it's not only is he hard and bad relative to the other characters, but he's very different from most other characters. Now, I think one of the reasons why Zane did so well with Roy is because Roy is extremely similar to Marth, but with less options. And Zane can play Marth really well. In fact, that's the only character Zane can play really well. See you at the podcast, by the way. And so that's why his Roy actually does better than his Fox, because he can just play bad Marth. No one can play bad Mewtwo because there's no character that plays like Mewtwo. No character has teleports. No character has these issues. That said, he still has a ton of issues, like very light, terrible spot dodge. His spot dodge actually has the same amount of frames as his roll, and his roll is very long but very slow as well. Doesn't really have a great front forward hitbox in fair, and yeah, has to learn a lot of different tipper spacings. I think both back air, up air, and up tilt and F tilt have like several different hitboxes. Up air has like 4 different hitboxes that you can all use and optimize in order to DI mix up and combo. And up tilt has like 5 different hitboxes. Great move, actually. Down tilt has 2 different hitboxes. Like F smash has a tipper. There's a ton of options that you don't necessarily know when you're starting out with Mewtwo, that you eventually learn to realize that, like, yeah, you can actually optimize these and push the character further. But will someone do it? I guess you have to tune into my stream and see Mewtwo Men do it once Frank comes out. Okay, next up, as I already mentioned, we have Mario. Now, Mario is probably a worse performer than Ganon historically, but I think that's mostly due to Dr. Mario existing, and Dr. Mario is clearly the better of the two. We might just put him up here already, but just for comparison's sake. Now, Dr. Mario has much better kill options, much better projectile, super solid down smash, fair, pills, like they really swing it. Dr. Mario on every character in the game has throw to fair kill, which is massive in a game where throws, you know, break CC, have such little end lag, and can be used out of shield as well. Now, Dr. Mario does have 2 problems, which is that he is slower and he doesn't have Mario F smash. I think Dr. Mario has a little bit worse recovery. He can't wall jump with up B, but honestly, it doesn't matter much. It really doesn't. Most of the time, you're not going to be hugging the walls. You don't have access to wall jumps, and just the kill power is such a big difference. Mario does have a slight speed advantage, but not to the point where he's actually faster than any of the relevant top tiers for the most part. And again, he just really struggles with killing. He doesn't have any move that's like, oh damn, this move kills. He has to raw F smash you, whereas Dr. Mario can combo or edge guarding the kills. But yeah, I still actually think both these characters are underrated. The problem with Dr. Mario and Mario is that they're very fundamental characters. You can't, like, you don't really have many gimmicks to throw out towards your opponent. Like, you just have to play solid, honestly. And if there's one trend, it's that the people that pick low tiers are not the people with the best fundamentals. They want to pick low tiers and they want to have fun. They want to throw random shit at you that you've never seen before, rather than necessarily outplay you with pure mind games and, you know, just grinding every day. And I think Dr. Mario, for that reason, has actually underperformed a lot more than he probably should. So I'm actually going to move up Dr. Mario for now, and we're going to put up the other character. I think here is where I would put Luigi, but I would probably put him a tier up. I think Luigi has some really cool stuff, down smash, up smash, and like down air and air. Like some of his moves are just really hard to deal with, but he gets very limited once the opponent truly knows the matchup. And I've actually played a lot against Luigi, but he also has some optimizations left to do. Again, I think this is a problem where a lot of the Luigi mates just pick Luigi to be wacky and do random shit instead of playing a very solid, consistent game plan. A lot of them are super predictable coming down. A lot of them are kind of behind when it comes to using CC. But still, he does have some limits, but I don't think he has any matchup that is truly impossible. Even Fox that knows the matchup, you can still always hear to death. Even Sheik, like, Sheik is good against Luigi, don't get me wrong, but her punish game does cap out eventually. Whereas I feel like Luigi can still push the punish game further in that matchup. So yeah, that's probably what I would say. Who do we have next? Next up, I would say that we have another tier. Might have to rename these. I don't know. We can just put these down here. We'll just make this tier bigger, and then we'll make S+. So next up, we have Samus. I don't really know if I think Samus is as bad as some people think. Some people think Samus is super overrated and was like carried by some good players. I actually think Samus is like a very solid character that has a lot of traits that are amazing for in tournaments, like just like the weight, amazing recovery, like a lot of weird moves to deal with. And I actually think there's a lot of optimizations left, like fast fall missile, bomb pressure. But Samus does really struggle versus Jigglypuff, has a hard matchup versus Sheik, Peach, Falcon, Marth. You know, loses basically every top tier matchup. But I think Fox and Falco are actually pretty good matchups for Samus. Now, I don't necessarily think she wins on paper, but in practice, you should, honestly, if you're maining Samus, you should be winning a lot of the matches against Fox and Falco. Simply because they are very different matchups for Fox and Falco to play, whereas Samus can kind of play her core game plan and just execute it really well. For me personally, I did struggle versus Samus for a long time. Obviously, that hasn't been true for many years now. I've beaten Duck and Plop many times now, very solidly. But it is a matchup that you really have to learn. You really have to know how to play against it, because she can up you out of shield, she can CC everything, you can't edge guard, so you're gonna have to outplay her in other ways, which you can, but it's very hard to do so without being super predictable and making it very easy for the Samus to just be more comfortable in the matchup. After that, we have Pikachu and Yoshi. Now, I don't know who I would put up higher here. I think both characters are very solid. I'll probably do like this, but they're very close in my opinion. Now, Samus was probably seen as the stronger character than these two historically, but I think at higher levels of play, it's clear that both Yoshi and Pikachu just have more potential. Pikachu has a ton of good stats. Like, Pikachu is basically Fox boneless. Boneless Fox. What do I mean by that? Well, you can play a Fox, the up smash, the nair, the speed, the grab combos, but you have it weaker. You have no shine. You have no sauce. No range. But at the cost of that, you don't have no picky bones. You do not get 0 to death comboed. You have one of the best recoveries in the game, like top 5 recoveries in the game. You have a super easy ledge dash instead of a very hard one, while still having the same amount, if not more, invincibility frames. You have an even stronger up smash. Like, basically, instead of spreading out the kill power like Fox has, Pikachu kind of just loads it all into up smash. So all you really need to do is learn how to land up smashes. And once you know that, you kind of know how to kill with Pikachu. I mean, that's oversimplification, obviously, but yeah. Axe has pushed the character very far. I would say that for a while, Axe was not really pushing the character, but I started using a lot more new moves, which is cool to see. Like fair, more downer usage, more like down tilt, F tilt, and neutral. So yeah, we'll see where this character goes. I still think there's quite a bit to improve with the character, like using neutral B more and such. But we'll see. We'll see. I really think that these characters are probably the most underrated historically in terms of strength. A lot of people will like for many years would run into a Yoshi or Pikachu and be like, "Who is this low tier shitter?" But not necessarily think the same way about like Samus, Luigi, or Dr. Mario. But I think that's just, you know, different people pushing them and people realizing where the meta was heading, as well as obviously Amsa and Axe doing really well with each character. Now, Yoshi is a character that I actually mained for a little bit. I never really intended to go full-time Yoshi, but I did play Yoshi because I think Yoshi was really underrated. It was actually one of the main ways where shield dropping was introduced to the meta. I mean, many people can realize it similarly, but I was one of the first people to shield drop in tournament. And I was doing it because I realized with Yoshi, shield dropping is broken and you need it. And then once I picked up Fox, I kind of brought it back. It's kind of a lost like history of how shield dropping became so prevalent in the meta, which is kind of funny. And again, I'm not trying to take sole credit. I'm sure other people would have figured it out. And I'm sure other people figured it out without watching me. But I did actually shield drop like back in tournaments in like 2010, 2011, way before most people ever like thought it was like a good option. They thought it was like a niche, very niche option, or they thought like it was possible. Like people had started figuring out how to consistently shield drop, but they didn't really see the need for it. The Leffen drop, no. But yeah, Yoshi's a very, very like weird character. Maybe the most unique, very, very technical, very like percent specific. You need to know exactly what percent's double jump and CC break. You need to know how to counter your opponents, but once you do, Yoshi can do massive, massive damage. Parrying is one of the best tools in the game, like completely invincible frame one option, beats grabs, beats attacks, but has a harsh execution requirement and requires a good timing read. But it still beats a lot of shit. Still think we can see even more from this character. Alms has, you know, proved that he can overcome a lot of the matchups he struggled with before. So I think the future's really bright for this character. All right, we got to keep on moving. Next up, we have the top tier. Now, Ices is a character that I don't know where to play. I would probably put Ices here without wobbling. Without wobbling, Ices really struggles versus Peach and Puff. That's honestly the biggest thing. I think Ices can manage completely fine against Sheik, Fox, Falco, Falcon. Maybe Falcon's a bit rough, but like all these matchups are fine, but Peach and Puff become really, really, really hard when you don't have wobbling. Almost impossible. So yeah, I'm gonna put Ices here because of wobbling. They're actually significantly stronger. Like, I think they're like almost better than the next character with wobbling, but I don't know. Optimized non-wobbling ICs can still do a lot of work. And I don't really think there's a character that they're worse than. I don't really think there's a character that they're better than just because they get wobbling, just looking at the list. But I will say that like they're one of the best tournament characters. Like if you play bad against an IC, if you don't know the matchup, you do not need skill to win. Like they're one of the absolute strongest characters to pick up. In the beginning, you can get to mid-level very, 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 very quickly, even top 100 level, without really having much like core melee fundamentals and just knowing like IC specific stuff and wobbling and hopefully tilting your opponent once you get a grab. We don't really know if wobbling is going to be legal or not, but I'm going to put them here because I think that's closer. Still, I think non-wobbling ICs are some of the coolest characters. Actually, like they have so much cool tech and their combos look amazing. So I kind of wish that it's not legal, but it really sucks that the Puff and the Peach matchup just sucks. It just sucks. I know I said suck there like 5 times in 10 seconds, but it just sucks that matchup is so bad. I mean, those matchups are so bad without wobbling. Who do we have next? I think next character is much harder than the previous ones. I think it's either Peach or Falcon. Honestly, Falcon has been doing so well recently that I should put Falcon above here. Like, I actually think Peach has more stuff left to improve. Like, I think Peach is a very simple character at all levels but the very top. Like double jump cancels, float cancels, like optimized like slap dashing, float cancel fair. Like there's a lot of different tech that you can improve with Peach that I still think no one did, even Armada. Never really improved the ledge game, never really improved on a lot of these things. And Lotta's been showing some of this, Triff has been showing some of this, but still they haven't really completely shown that they can give results as consistently as the Falcon players. Falcon's a character that many people thought was limited and kind of doomed to be in a high tier, not top tier position. Falcon mains historically have always been some of the whiniest people. If you ever run into a Falcon player on Slipbeat, they will rage quit if you pick Sheik and down throw them twice. Despite that though, Falcons have been doing amazing recently. Like Nun, Wizzy, and S2J have all been doing great. And I think that this like speed is just such a great stat that like you can just keep using. Being fast is always going to be broken in any video game, but especially a game with such a high ceiling as Melee. And I think one of the biggest improvements with Falcons have not been combo game, have not been recovery, it's been CC. CCing with Falcon is actually incredibly strong because he's so heavy, but he didn't really have an easy CC move to use. Like he couldn't CC down as much like Peach or Sheik. But these days, the best CC punish is actually CC grab, which is much harder to time, but doesn't really have counterplay in the same way that CC down smashes have. And Falcon has one of the best grab combo games, if not the best grab combo game. Yeah, he probably has the best grab game actually, with down throw and up throw. I would say the biggest other flaw that Falcons helped add outside of CC, like helping them get out of pressure and helping them in close quarters, is the Falcons have finally started to learn how to edge guard. It was a big meme for a long time with like S2J edge guards and such, where like Falcons just had no idea really what to do. They would pick a different options to edge guard every single time. People finally started to figure out some flow charts, and it's really helped them against Spaceys, primarily I would say. And yeah, people are still pushing this characters. You can still see like people like Sechi doing optimized punches against Marth, Peach that none of the top Falcons do yet. So we'll see. I really think Falcon's an incredibly strong character. Okay, we'll add S plus now. S plus really just means that it's slightly stronger. I do not think that they are actually in a tier of their own. This difference is very small. But I think that they're still definitely above them, which is why I put them here. The way I mean by that is that like for all these characters, like I can't see Falcon above Sheik, at least not yet. I can't see Peach over Sheik. I can't see like any of these characters necessarily being above the others, so I will put them there. And yeah, that's really it. And honestly, Sheik is the biggest problem. Like I think Sheik, you could argue honestly should be here. And you know what? I'll put Sheik here. I don't know. I don't know. It's so close actually. Yeah, no. We'll put Sheik here. I forgot Falco. Okay, so Sheik has amazing matchup spreads, especially against the lower tiers, but really struggles with Puff and Fox, I would say. The Fox matchup gets better the better Sheiks get because of reaction tech chasing and like Fox's punish game capping out a little bit sooner than Sheiks does eventually. But right now it's really rough where Sheiks aren't yet consistent with the reaction tech chase, and Foxes have gotten really good at using CC and juggling Sheiks. But Sheik is still amazing, has, in my opinion, the only winning matchup against Marth in the game, and just does amazingly against basically everyone under her, except for Icy's. It's like, which it might not be a problem because of no wobbling. My new secondary, obviously, very strong character. Probably the most underplayed character in Melee right now, I would say. Like, I see no Sheiks when I play on Netplay, which is kind of crazy. Like, Sheik is a really strong character. Very simple at low level to pick up with, but I actually think has one of the most cool and interesting neutrals and punish games at top level. Like, at low level, it's just down throw F tilt. And at top level, it's like, oh, you have so many mix-ups, DI mix-ups, like using needle cancels, like shield dropping. Like you have to use crouch dash, wave dash, regular dash dance, fox trotting. Like you have to use so many different ways of moving, pivots. Whereas, you know, other characters, like people always say that like Sheik is simpler Falcon, but I truly think it's the other way around. Like I truly think that Falcon is Sheik that is made easier and with cooler animations. It's gonna upset a lot of people, but if Knee didn't have an electric spark, Sheik would be considered the cooler character. It is lamer to see someone do F tilt fair and then have to edge hog and roll up from the edge to kill the character, where versus down stomp Knee, where you have 10 seconds to confirm and the character just explodes off the screen, even though the end result's similar. But I truly think that at top level, Sheik is just way more of an interesting character than Falcon. And I think similarly to Falcons, there's still a lot of different ways to play Sheik. Plup and Swedish obviously play very different, but I still also think that like me, Shroomed, Spark, and others can add more. So yeah, I think there's a lot left to improve with Sheik, and I'm excited to try to push the character. Next up, we have Falco. Now, Falco is a character that honestly only has one top player right now, which is kind of sad. Westball's Ginger and Bobby and Albert and Magi. You know, there's many different Falcos players. Very, very popular character. The most popular character on Netplay. But strangely, none of them really seem to push it to the top level. And I think that's because many of them hit many Falcos hit a rough wall when it comes to playing against many different matchups. Some Falcons are amazing against Fox, but suck against floaties. And some people are the other way around. It's kind of strange to me that like, yeah, they've just not learned the entire cast, which is kind of weird. Like ever since PPMD retired, like no other Falco can really just compare to Mango. And I think Falco honestly has a lot left to push. His punish game still has a lot left. He is more resistant to SDI than people say, and I honestly think he's one of the hardest characters to just like solve how to get out of combo against, because he has so many small resets, he has so many small extensions. He can essentially win neutral by pressing B round start, and like that's just amazing. That said, he does have some rough matchups versus Puff, doesn't dominate the lower cast as hard as Sheik does, has kind of even-ish matchup versus Peach, for example, and you know, doesn't really do well against Marth either. So I don't know. We'll kind of see with Falco. I'm definitely not decided. Falco is such a complex character. It's definitely one of the best character designs in fighting games of all time. Love this character. Was my first main, my first love. I would play him more, but I don't know. I just don't have time. But I want to play him like in a tournament or something like that. Super cool character. Really wish more people would push him that final stretch so we can see him more in top 8s, but we'll see. I'm sure someone will come around. And next up, we have our top 3. Now, this top 3 is so hard to place. I just want that to be clear. I'm not trying to be hipster. I'm not trying to downplay my own character. Many people going into a Melee tier list will have already decided that Fox is the best character because they've seen a TAS video from 2008. Because they're like, at robot levels of gameplay, you can just shine everything, which isn't actually even true. Parrying is actually arguably better at TAS level. But yeah, like it really comes down to what you prefer. So I'm gonna give the case for all of them, and then I'm gonna decide who. I don't actually think they're much better than Sheik or Falco, so I'm not gonna put them in their own tier, but I do think that these 3 characters are definitely what I would consider like strong runners for the best in the game. Honestly, I could have an hour or 2 long discussion, and honestly, more than a discussion, like finding out for myself, like thinking through it, this is like who the best character is, Marth, Fox, or Puff, is an extremely difficult question in my opinion. And I kind of changed my mind several times already. Some days I'll think it's Fox, some days I'll think it's Marth. In my previous tier list, I put Puff number 1 clearly. And the reason why I'm not so sure about Puff anymore is one, I think that more people are coming around to the fact that we might change rule sets and implement like things such as ledge stalling and maybe some kind of limit against pound stalling and air stalling if that ever becomes a problem. And secondly is because I think that Slippy and the addition of just having much more access to online and different matchups does make it easier to get practice against Puff, which it was one of her biggest strengths, that no one knew how to play against her. So that does put her down quite a bit. Now, if I had to pick a character just off my head, I would still pick Puff as the best character. But honestly, I'm still not sure. I still need to think more about it. I would still probably just pick it because that's what I picked last and I trust my own self who thought a lot about it. But let me reason a little bit. And maybe this should be like the topic of a podcast or like a whole video by itself. Leave a like, subscribe if you like that. I can think, like, I want to just break down every single matchup for each of these 3 characters, what I own think, and then like kind of average them out. I want to make a whole like hour-long video on just who the best character is and give the strongest case for each of them. It's like, you know, I've been watching basketball recently and it's like, you know, the case for GOAT when they like argue again for Michael Jordan or Will Chamberlain or LeBron, like making the case. That's like what we got to do, dude. Like, what's Puff's case to be the best characters? What's Fox's case to be the best character? What's Marv's case? Now, very simply, I'll run through it so you don't feel robbed. Fox arguably is the best with the highest potential, but struggles with the fact that everyone knows how to play against him. Fox is basically every single player's best or at least top 3 matchup, which is not the case for Marth or Puff. The easiest character to lab against, because you can optimize punish game just playing against a computer. Has the hardest tournament requirement. My favorite character in all of fighting games, but you know, it does take a toll in your hands, which potentially makes you able to practice less and definitely makes you less consistent in tournament under pressure. Game 5. Marth doesn't have any losing matchups, arguably. Even Sheik can be argued to be even or slight Marth favor at the very highest of levels. There's an argument as well that Marth wins 6-4 or 5-5 or better against Fox and Falco, and maybe even wins against Puff as well. In that case, Marth would have a winning matchup against like 3 out of the top 4. And the only character, obviously, with an even matchup against himself in the top 4. Which is kind of insane, right? Kind of insane. Marth's weakness is that he relatively struggles more with random matchups such as like Yoshi, Pikachu, Falcon, and like, I don't know, I guess you could argue like Game & Watch, but I don't know. I actually think that's a little bit overblown. I think it's more about the fact that Marth players for a long time used to secondary Sheik and like Mewtwo King, like some others, and that made them essentially not learn some of these weird matchups. And until Zane came around, no one really optimized Marth in many of these different matchups, which staggered his improvement rate for a long time. No one really has the playbook yet on how to play Marth against Pikachu. No one has the playbook on how to, like, no one had the playbook for years on how to play Marth against Falcon, which is why it took so long for Zane to kind of figure that matchup out. And yeah, Puff, you know, Puff has game-breaking stalling abilities. You can basically take a timeout whenever you want when you play Puff. And by far the easiest characters. Like, if you're looking for a simple character with ease of requirement that puts all the pressure on your opponent to play well, there is no other character. Wobbling Ices has a case for being annoying, but even they have to learn character-specific tech. Jigglypuff is one-of-a-kind character definitely my least liked character in this roster. I actually think the Fox Puff matchup is fine, and Fox arguably wins it. But many other characters, when you play against Puff, it's just, oh my god, dude. Oh my god. It's so toxic to play some of these low tiers or even high tiers like Peach against Puff if the Puff knows what they're doing. I mean, even Sheik, like the 5th best character in the game, and Falco, like 2 out of the top 5. When you play against Puff, it's just like, wow. I really have to work 3 times harder, huh? Okay, all right. And all you do is back. Okay, all right. Not only is my character harder, but you also just have to back her. All right. That's cool. Yeah, I think that's like... Puff is just so insane because Puff plays the same way in every matchup, and that's such a good strength to have. Fox, Marth, as good as they are, Fox plays completely different against Samus, against Ices, than he does versus in the Fox Ditto, or versus Marth, or versus Falco. Marth is the same way. Like, you have to have a different game plan against Sheik, against Puff, against Fox, against Falcon, against Peach, against Yoshi, against Samus, against Pikachu. Puff, all that bitch does is back air. In every matchup. The rest setups are basically the same in every matchup. Pound or up tilt to rest. In every matchup. Yeah, there is some optimized rest punishes, but no HBox doesn't do any of them, and he's still the best. Like, that just shows you, like, HBox doesn't know most of the matchup. He has no clue on how to play the Peach matchup, and he still only lost to 1 Peach ever. And he was, like, half drunk. No, okay, all right, that's too far this far. He was very bad. He was playing very bad against Lod. But yeah, that said, I still don't know with the new changes. Honestly, if I had to put one at number 1 right now, I would have to put Puff or Marth. I would say that this is probably my finalist, but truly, these 3 are unordered. Marth is helped a lot by the fact that we have Frozen Stadium. I think Frozen Stadium, if it's always going to be on from now on, might be the best thing for Marth. Now, Frozen Stadium might mean that he can't strike to FD, but that would, like, no character would ever let him start on FD anyway, so it didn't matter much. And Frozen Stadium essentially just makes it into a second FD with 2 platforms that you get stuck on versus Marth. Like, I don't know. I don't think it necessarily might be Frozen on land, but Marth is probably the best on net play because of Frozen Stadium, and Puff is probably the best in tournament because of other factors such as like tournament pressure and such. And Fox is the best friendly character because you won't fuck up and you'll just screw people over when you play good. But yeah, let me know if you want a full video on this. I'm still not decided for this. This game is always evolving. I still think there's a ton left to improve in this game. And I truly believe that the game is going to be evolving at a faster rate than ever because of net play, because of Slippy. And yeah, we'll have to see. I'm really excited to push my own characters further, Fox and Sheik, and for more improvements to be made, such as Slippy, controller additions, and everything. I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to subscribe if you want more of this. Like the video. Drop a Twitch Prime if you're watching this on YouTube and you have it ready. You know, I'll see you guys next time.